So the conspiracy to make me believe that I'm Wayne Brady when it's obvious I'm not has kicked into high gear. And how can I tell? It's affected all my devices. When I wake up in the morning, what do you do? You go to your phone. If I turn on my phone, instead of saying, Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, now it says, "Good morning, Mr. Brady." And I'm like, who's messing with my phone? So then I went to my iPad and turned it on. Instead of having the little Apple symbol, it says, "Good morning, Mr. Brady." I'm like, what? Who's in here? What did they get? These things were out of my sight. So then I go to my laptop, and it was in my safe, because there's confidential information in there. I didn't see anything in the safe. It turned on my laptop, and it says, "Windows 11 welcomes Wayne Brady." And I'm like, oh my God, this is out of control. Someone's actually hacked through all my devices. So I'm like, I got to go to the DMV anyway, so I'll deal with this when I come back. I get into my car, and, car turns on, and all of a sudden this voice says, "Good morning, Mr. Brady." I'm looking around thinking I'm getting attacked, and I realized it was the damn car. So then I didn't know what the DMV is, so then I, put in the address and the GPS, and, the GPS is starting doing that calculating thing. I drive off, get to the first turn, and it says, "Wayne Brady, turn right." I'm like, what? So I turn right, and then it's like, "Wayne Brady in a half-mile turn left." I'm like, who messed with the GPS? And so I had to deal with this all the way to the DMV. So then I get to the DMV, and they're like, "What are you here for?" I'm like, "Yeah, my license is going to expire a couple of weeks. I need to renew it." They're like, "Okay, do you have an appointment?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I show them the paper with the appointment. They sit me down. I slide the person my old ID, and they pick it up, and they're like, "This isn't you." I'm like, "What's my picture?" They're like, "No, you're Wayne Brady. This is Wavel something or other." I'm like, "Look, that's me. I'm not Wayne Brady." And the person goes, "Oh, I get it. You celebrities, you need to keep your anonymity, so you guys get some of these fake IDs, so people don't know where you are and the paparazzi doesn't track you. So I'm sorry. I'll keep my voice down." So he starts whispering, and I'm like, what the fuck? And so then he gives me the new ID with my name on it. He's like, "Good luck with that." So I'm walking out. I'm walking out of the DMV, and I hear, "That's Wayne Brady. That's Wayne Brady. That's Wayne Brady." And I'm like, what the hell? And I'm looking around. So then I'm going over to the people who are getting new licenses, and, you know, they're doing the eye test, but instead of looking into the machine and see the letters or the numbers or pointing with which way the E goes, they don't do that anymore. They hold a picture of the real Wayne Brady, and then they hold a picture of me up, and then they ask the person, "Well, which one's Wayne Brady?" And if they point to me, they're like, "Oh, you pass. Here you go," and they give them the license. But if they point to the real Wayne Brady, they're like, "Oh, you obviously have some issues with your eyes. You'll need to go to a doctor, a licensed medical doctor, and take an eye test and have that person fill out this form." And then they shoved them out. I mean, and literally shoved them out, like pushed them. Some people like falling down and all that. I was like, so I interrupt them. I'm like, "Hey, what are you guys doing? What happened to the old eye test?" They're like, "Well, this one's more effective." I'm like, "But that's my picture." They're like, "Oh, yeah, they're supposed to tell you about that." I'm like, "What do you mean supposed to tell me about that? You can't use my picture without my permission." They're like, "Well, Mr. Brady." I'm like, "I'm not Wayne Brady." They're like, "Oh, yeah, I forgot. Sir, who's not Wayne Brady, we found that using this new method has been better with the public, more well received, got people in and out, and we've had a reduction in accidents of 25%. So we're going to stick with this. Um, I'm sorry no one informed you, but, this is coming from the governor. So I'm like, all right, I'm suing. They're like, well, he's like, okay, I get it. They didn't pay you. They should owe you some money. So I walk out of there, and then they go down to the courthouse, and, they're like, ID, please. Get in the courthouse. I give him my ID, and he's like, this isn't you. I'm like, yes, it is. He goes, you're Wayne Brady. I'm like, I'm not Wayne Brady. He goes, oh, this is a celebrity thing. Sorry. I forgot. Sorry. I didn't mean to be so loud. So he's like, come this way. So he gave me my ID back. He didn't even have me go through this metal detectors. So I'm like, oh, great. I really got to do something about this. But I got to do this lawsuit first. I'm suing, the state and DMV and all these people for using my stuff. So then I hear all this screaming in this courtroom, like yelling and screaming. I peek my head in, and I see what looks like a prosecutor and defense attorney going at it. They're pointing, they're screaming. They take off their jackets. So I'm thinking, oh my God, they're going to get into a fight. So I slip into the courtroom in the back, and I'm standing there, and I take out my phone, and I'm trying to, film the whole thing, because I'm thinking this is going to be great for my Instagram if I see a fight in the courtroom. No one else is in the courtroom. So the next thing you know, the judge tells both attorneys, calm down. I think I have a way to settle this dispute on whether the defendant is competent to stand trial. And it won't take a lot of time, won't cost a lot of money. So then all of a sudden she points to me and she goes, you in the back. So I'm thinking, oh great, I'm getting busted for filming in the courtroom. She's like, stand up. So I stand up. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to get jail time. Then she goes to the defendant. Mr. Sanchez, turn around. Do you see that man in the back of the courtroom? So he turns around, he looks, he goes, yes, Your Honor. Do you know that man? And Mr. Sanchez goes, yes, Your Honor, that's Wayne Brady. And Your Honor goes, the judge goes, see, he's competent to stand trial. He knows who Wayne Brady is. Boom, we'll have a trial next Monday. So then the defense attorney's like, woo, he's laughing at me. And Mr. Sanchez and the defense, we're all like, what? Wait a minute, how did this happen? He's not Wayne Brady. Well, they didn't say that. That's what I said. I'm not Wayne Brady. And then the judge's like, Wayne Brady, I'm glad you're here. Mr. Brady, I was very, very happy to see you. I'm a big fan. I was glad you're here. And I was glad you were able to help us settle this dispute, and your country thanks you. And then she bangs the gavel and walks out of the courtroom. And so I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, what? How did this happen? So then I just, at that point, I just left the courtroom because I knew my lawsuit wouldn't go anywhere because they just seemed to say you are Wayne Brady. So I was like, and then they're going to say the DNA doesn't lie. They're going to have Maury Povich testify against me. So I just went home. And then of course, I turned everything off. The only thing is I'm filming this video because I'm trying to get out of this Wayne Brady vortex nightmare Twilight Zone thing.